Just a quick update on the fundraiser. We're already at over $30 worth of donations. Thank you so much to everyone who has subscribed already. If you haven't yet, go ahead and do it now. Every subscriber up to $1,000 will be another dollar towards Roots Young Adult Shelter, a homeless shelter serving 18 to 25-year-olds in the Seattle area. A week after graduation, I flew out to Buffalo, New York to prove myself to the coach, Brian Dempsey. I had two future NFL players on my offense in Aljae Henderson, my running back, and Jamari Gassett, my number one wide receiver. Coach appreciated how much dedication I showed to learning the playbook and his system. Over the course of the summer, I earned the starting job at quarterback over sophomore Cole Snyder. We needed to prepare a lot over the summer because we did not want to get punked by Ohio State. Coach wanted to ease me into my first college game against the number 2 team in the nation by focusing on running the football. He didn't ask me to make too many throws down the field to begin with, and he wanted to help me limit my turnover issues. The team had success in recent years, going to bowl games in 2 of the last 3 seasons and getting their best win in school history in 2019 in a bowl game against Charlotte. Aljae was going off, making future NFL players on this defense look like peewee players. He was trucking dudes and breaking tackles at a ridiculous rate. If I said I wasn't a little nervous playing this team in our first game, I'd be lying. Despite the prep, I noticed I was second guessing my reads a little bit, and so did Coach. He started drawing up a lot of design pass plays. I mean, wide receiver screens, short throws underneath, and simple 3-step dropbacks. I think it hurt the flow of our offense. When our coach called a 2 tight end set with Malinik, I was already a bit on edge. We still had 0 points, and I felt like it was all my fault. Then Malinik dropped the ball on the throw underneath. When I went over to the sideline, I let the dude absolutely have it. I basically told him he should convert to O-line with those brick hands. I definitely wasn't doing myself any favors trying to get my teammates to like me. Our defense was playing out of their minds. At the start of the second quarter, the score was 0-0. No thanks to us on offense. I could tell the Ohio State defensive coordinator was losing it, even though we still had 0 points. Our backup running back Robinson was also a great receiving back, but he took a nasty hit on the screen. On our first option play of the day, I get hit and fumbled the ball, leading to our first turnover, something that we just couldn't afford versus this team. I continued to rely on Gassett and Navarro to get open and get yards after the catch. Aljae was fighting off contact consistently on his runs like we had already seen, channeling his inner Marshawn Lynch. I was playing really well outside of the structure of the offense, but that isn't why I came to Buffalo. I wanted to become an elite pocket QB, and bailing myself out by using my athleticism wasn't helping me to get better as a passer. I found Navarro underneath, and he did the rest of the work, making multiple defenders miss on his way to picking up a 25-yard gain and getting us in the red zone before half. Aljae was having a historic game for this Buffalo program when he went down holding his leg right before half. The whole team was holding their breath. Aljae was the spiritual and emotional leader of this team. As a freshman quarterback and someone who already struggled with leadership at a high school level, I definitely didn't know how to channel my own ability to inspire my teammates still. To start the third quarter, Ohio State turned the ball over on their own side of the field. My offensive line parted the seas for me, leaving me plenty of time to dissect the zone defense for our first touchdown of the game to my tight end Claude, giving us a 7-point lead. Ohio State answered back immediately, and we were locked up at 10-10 at the beginning of the fourth. Coach pulled me aside and told me that we were going to start chewing clock and running the ball, but also to look for my moments to play make. Aljae was back and being a beast on the ground, and Karan Robinson was ripping off some great runs too. Justin Marshall ultimately made a huge play, racking up 20 yards on a wide receiver screen that got us into field goal range. Sadly, we weren't able to get a touchdown on the drive, and Ohio State answered the field goal that we got. So we were tied again at 13-13. We had about 30 seconds left in the game from our own 20-yard line, and I tried to play superhero. I swore I saw Bobby Curry wide open over the middle, but Ohio State's inside linebacker, Proctor, picked me off, and I was sure the game was over. They were already in field goal range, and I had put my towel over my head on the sideline, feeling sorry for myself. Somehow, they missed the field goal. We got blessed. We ended up going into overtime, and Aljae made a statement play. He took this underneath pass all the way for a touchdown, tying us again, and then I made the play of my young career. Everything I didn't want to rely on is what made this play happen. Nothing was open on the initial routes, so I ran to my right. I noticed Jamari following me to the back right corner of the end zone, and I flicked a laser to him. He got his feet in, and we took a touchdown lead. Ohio State couldn't answer, and we pulled off the biggest upset in college football history. If we were in Buffalo, I'm sure the fans would have gone absolutely crazy and rushed the stands, but instead, Ohio State fans were throwing bottles, cups, and popcorn at their own team. After the game, all of us went out partying in Ohio, celebrating before what was bound to be a legendary season for the Bulls. After our first game against Ohio State, most of my teammates felt that we should be in the top 25. I mean, it only made sense after knocking off the second best team in the nation. Our next game came against Baylor, and they were also 1-0. On our first drive, it was an absolute disaster. Coach could sense how confident I had become after our first game, and he started with a pass play, but I took a sack that set us back 18 yards because I was trying to extend the play. Baylor's defense came to play. They made every yard, every first down a struggle. We found ourselves down 10-0 in this rain game, and I felt like I was legitimately carrying the offense. I was throwing dots, finding Gassett, Curry, and Claude wide open for big first down pickups. Claude and Navarre were really stepping up. Each of them were getting a lot of yards after the catch and making big explosive plays for us. So it felt like this drive had to end in a touchdown for us. We had all the momentum. I was making defenders miss, and it felt like we could do no wrong on offense. Even some of our backups like LeBourne were making big plays. We got down into the red zone where on 3rd and 10 we were placed in a tough spot. Despite being incredibly accurate on the drive, Coach had us run a halfback screen that didn't pick up the first down. We ended up missing the chip shot field goal and not making any progress. You'd think I wouldn't be feeling a lot of pressure coming off of our week 1 win, but now we had expectations. My coach and teammates expected us to win against Baylor. Obviously, Baylor couldn't be as good as Ohio State, right? I'll be honest, I was immature. I think I started to get rattled thinking about some of the expectations surrounding my play. Back when I was in high school, I had teammates who lifted me up and made me a better player. With Buffalo, it didn't feel the same yet. While I had spent about the same amount of time with his team, we didn't spend nearly as much time together off the field. A lot of us had different goals outside of football, going to different programs all the way across campus. A lot of the guys on this team were also from New York. They had friends outside of school and I didn't. The one guy who always made sure, though, to invite me to their family barbecues this last summer was Jamari Gassett. The dude was just a great teammate and a great friend. It was important that we developed that QB wide receiver chemistry as much as possible, but it didn't feel like we had that versus Baylor. We needed a touchdown and we needed it now. Coach continued to limit my ability to throw the ball down the field, calling short pass plays the last 2 drives. Ultimately, not being more aggressive is what put the nail in the coffin for us. After we couldn't score with 4 minutes left in the 4th, we fell behind 24-3 and the game was effectively over. We were stunned. We had just come off the biggest upset in college football history and we delivered a dud in Texas. We were inept offensively, and I was at least partially to blame. After the game, everyone went their separate ways. Nobody wanted to meet to go over game film for next week, so I did it by myself. I definitely felt isolated after letting the team down. Coach called me into his office the next day after the game to discuss what happened, and then he dropped some news on me.